Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we'll be talking about the spell Alter Self. It's
Tried.
kind of a silly one.
I know a lot of people that think this spell is good.
I think it's good. I don't really like it because I like when spells do a thing and not like just a hodgepodge of three different spells thrown together.
Mhm.
But that said, however, those hodgepodge spells, if they do useful things, then yeah, it makes the spell better, gives you options.
Does this spell do useful things?
All right. Well, it's all right. Well, tell us what does it do, and we'll
Okay,
talk about the usefulness after.
this spell really looks like it's 3 spells in a trench coat, but it's really just 1 and 2 bad effects. So this is a second level transmutation spell for artificers, sorcerers, wizards. It's a action to cast, range of spell, verbal, somatic components, concentration duration up to an hour. It's also notable that there are a lot of subclasses that get this, if I remember correctly. And they're often like encouraged to do this to be like, oh, I want to be more of like a shape changer. You can take alter self. Nope. You assume a different form. When you cast the spell, choose one of the following options, the effects of which last for the duration of the spell, which again is concentration up to an hour. While the spell lasts, you can end one option as an action to gain the benefits of a different one, so you can hop between them. Conceivably, very nifty. In practice, let's read what they do. So there's aquatic adaptation. You adapt your body to an aquatic environment, sprouting gills, getting webbing between your fingers. You can breathe underwater, gain swim speed, equal to your walking speed. Neat. Change appearance. You transform your appearance. You decide what you look like, including your height, weight, facial features, sound of your voice, hair length, correlation, and distinguished characteristics, if any. You can make yourself appear as a member of any race. You can not change your statistics. You also don't appear as a creature of a different size than you, and your basic shape stays the same. If you're bipedal, you stay bipedal. If you're quadrupedal, you stay quadrupedal. So if you're a centaur, you figure that out. At any time from the duration of the spell, you could use your action to change your appearance in this way again. So this is like a disguised self in many ways. And then finally, we have
Yeah.
natural weapons. Natural weapons is you go claws, fangs, spines, horns, or a different natural weapon of your choice. Your unarmed strikes deal, drum roll please, a d6 womp, 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 bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage. And you're proficient with them. Finally, the natural weapon is magic and it gets +1 to hit. Boo. If you couldn't gauge by my tone, getting roughly a d8 worth of weapon dice, slightly less than that, because it's a d6 +1, which is like it's not good. It's not better than like any other weapon you can be attacking with. So you're almost never taking natural weapons if you're picking this. If you're picking this and using it for aquatic adaptation, it's nice that you can like turn into a merfolk with change appearance after that, but you like can't breathe underwater anymore, so that doesn't really hold up. So you can't like use this as a way to navigate both in water and have your ability to change your shape and appearance in water because you'll stop breathing underwater. And on top of that, like change appearance, as prior mentioned, reads very similar to Disguise Self, which you might note is a whole spell slot level lower than this. So we can take that as our jumping off point, or we can talk about the other modes that you might like more, Bob. What do you want to do?
All right. Well, I mean, I feel like Alter Self is Disguise Self for situations when Disguise Self's shortcomings would give you away. Yeah, this
Like physical
actually
inspection.
alters your form. That's neat. Of course, if you're in a situation where people have the presence of mind to be, poking at you to see if you're really that guy, then they probably got some systems in place to check for alter self as well. I don't know.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Alter Self is definitely a lot harder to check for. I think my primary issue with it is Disguise Self already encourages you to think about its shortcomings and sort of plan accordingly. So, for example, it makes specifically impersonation very hard, but most other appearances can hold up and feel like a seamless, mundane fit for Disguise Self, right? Like if you just change, like we see regular human beings able to put on a hat, sunglasses, and change their t-shirt and become suddenly an entirely different human being as far as like others around them are concerned, right? But you're paying attention and focusing on, if you're like, for example, a dark-skinned individual becoming a light-skinned individual, your body doesn't have to necessarily change, but your basic descriptors will, and that can be all you need whenever you're doing a heist, whenever you're planning something or another. You can still pass through physical inspection with Disguise Self. It's just illusory masking parts of it. If you try and go for bigger and broader things, can be a little wonky. So Alter Self then then comes into the picture of like, I specifically want to look like this specific individual. I want to be a foot taller. I want, long hair that is tangible that you can touch, and you don't want a wig. You want like a big belly, or you want to be thinner whenever you are a larger character, right? Maybe you're trying to pass off as an elf whenever you're a dwarf or something like that, right? Those are the instances where alter self becomes better. I'm not that convinced that happens all that often, nor am I convinced that that isn't a tool that disguise self couldn't also do most of the time. It is, I think, the one major saving grace to the spell, though, that is a new tool that you will sometimes want to leverage for some fun plans. Is it that good? Probably not. But it is serviceable and usable in some interesting ways that disguise self isn't. And I think that's honestly the bulk of the text of alter self. I don't think there's really anything else worth talking about. But
It is the bulk of the text, certainly. But I'm not going to say the others aren't worth talking. Maybe the natural weapons thing probably not worth talking about much. But the water thing, that could be useful. I mean, if breathe water breathing is a spell level higher.
I really have to impress upon you the dangers of having a concentration spell attached to water breathing.
Yeah, all right. I'm just saying, if you need to go to the bottom of the lake to go get the sword you just dropped out of your boat, this could work for you. It's a level 2 spell. These are the kind of missions that you're using it for.
To get the sword from the bottom of the lake.
Yes. But yeah, there's other situations. If you need it and you have it, you'll be happy.
Sure. The fact that water breathing comes a level after this, I think, is a really big bummer for this text. If water breathing wasn't literally a ritual spell that came the next level and is available to most of the full caster classes, I'd be like, this is actually reasonable text. It's a way to do this attached to an effect that I'm happy to have. I'm pretty into it. But the fact that water breathing is just like, oh, it's a ritual spell. If we're doing the aquatic adventure, great. Everyone has that text permanently. No chance of randomly dying underwater anymore to stopping breathing because of alter self going away. Then you're suddenly like, I don't see a reason to cast this anymore. So you have like a 2-level window. If you're doing specifically naval aquatic adventuring, where you're like, I can do the aquatic underwater breathing thing, huzzah! And I'm not, if you couldn't tell, I'm not over the moon about that.
No. But yeah, like I said, the altering your physical appearance is what I feel this spell should be, and nothing else.
I think if it were just this text, I'd be a lot less angry at it.
Yeah. Having the water breathing tacked on, okay, maybe I probably will never need that, but thanks, I guess. And I'm sure there's a use out there for the natural weapons thing. Let's say you're trapped in a net, and you need to get out some Wolverine claws to
because your
cut the
dagger's
ropes.
not on you.
No, of course not. They took it.
They took your dagger, threw you in a net, and threw you overboard. That's the situation where all of a sudden your Wolverine claws are coming through. You can have so you're underwater, so this will be the last spell you get to cast.
I didn't say you're underwater.
Oh, you're just in a net.
I was thinking like a trap, but then you'd probably have your dagger on you.
Or any other number of second level spells that get you out of a net.
I'm trying to think of a situation here. Or
that's fair.
All right, bar fight. Your weapons aren't allowed.
Is it suddenly more kosher to be like, yeah, I get that we're not allowed to use swords, but these blade knuckles are going to destroy you, and they're going to be like, yeah, that seems fair. I'm into that. That's fine by me.
It's not about seeming fair. It's about, I don't want to be in this fight, but if you start some stuff with me, then look out for the claws.
Sure. I don't think I think my main issue is people specifically, like, they come in with this fantasy of, this lets me do a fightery thing. Like, if you're a wizard, of the classes that get this, sorcerer, artificer, and wizard, which of them are getting in a bar fight and having a good time with it?
Wizard.
The wizard's having a good time getting in the bar fight with this.
Well, not a good time. No, nobody wants to be in the bar fight. This is strictly self-defense. And the wizard, is squishy.
I have a really important question.
Uh-oh.
What's the number one stat you sync on your wizard? And why is it strength?
All right. I'm not saying this is good.
So we're starting at a d20 minus or +1 to hit with these things. That's our starting point, because you're proficient, but you have a -1 to your strength score. So we're like, oh goody, I have a d20 +1, d6 +2. D6 flat magic weapon to attack with. That's where we're starting at on most wizards.
All right. Yeah. like I
It's
said,
worse than it looks, is what I'm trying to say.
all right. I'm not arguing that this is amazing. This is something you want to break out in a real fight in the wilderness against bugbears. I'm
They'll
just
laugh
trying
at
to think.
you.
Yeah. I'm just
You'll
trying to
you'll
come
go
up
and
with
try and
something.
punch them, and they'll catch it and be like, "Why is this wimpy man trying to stab us?" And then they'll break your arm. That's what'll happen.
Ah, all right. Well, how about you give it a try? Let's
Finding things to do with natural weapons.
yes.
Oh gosh, I guess. What if we use it to escape a net? That seems like a pretty good use case. I think that there might be cute, clever things you can do where it's like, I think they're gonna largely be flavorful. It's gonna be largely being like a changeling wizard, or you're taking this on your shifter wizard, or you're taking this on like, maybe you're going for a sorcerer whose whole shtick is being like the natural wild, not necessarily like wild magic as in big funny explosions all the time, but like wild force of nature savagery kind of character. And you decide not to sink your strength because that's the character archetype you want to go for, and no other reason, because I cannot emphasize enough, there is no other reason to take strength on that character. Then it's like a bad short sword. That's my selling point for it. But you get the cool feeling of having saber-tooth fangs or Wolverine claws, right? You get the fun experience of conceivably doing this. It will honestly feel very similar to Tavern Brawler, but it doesn't even scale with your class level. So like, that's not a great place to be, even if you're like building with this in mind as the objective. I would instead recommend like Barbarian Path of the Beast if you wanted to do like the hybrid, sort of gaining tails and stuff. They do it in a really great way that actually make it worth using, as opposed to most of natural weapons, like even lizard folk natural weapons are just like, this is a worse weapon. I can just use a weapon. I don't have to do this. Getting this for free doesn't do anything.
Nobody's taking this spell for this effect.
That's my problem, Bob. I've seen people do that. I've seen people that think this is a cool way to suddenly become Wolverine on my wizard, and then it flounders because they go and do the math of how it works and are like, oh crap, I'm a level 3 wizard, I get +2 to hit, -1 to hit because of my strength score, and I do a d6 -1 to plus damage, +1 for the mod. And you're like, I should just cast a cantrip. Any ranged cantrip is better than this. So that's where I think most of my ire comes from. Change appearance is fine. It goes on the shadier, shiftier characters. And if it was the only text here, I think it wouldn't trap as many people into doing the dumb thing of trying to make natural weapons here good. Aquatic adaptation, I think, is very moot most of the time. If you need an adventure, it'll be good. If you don't, even if you need an adventure, you're still going to need to be in a situation where make sure you have a spell slot banked, because if you ever lose concentration on this, you need to start holding your breath. And if you don't start holding your breath, you can't cast this again and we'll start drowning. And that's not a great place to be in. So make sure you can line this up so you have a spare second level spell slot. You're concentrating on this for an hour. If something does break your concentration, you can start a new one and get out of dodge. Because that's where this really doesn't work great underwater. This has to be like underwater exploration more than underwater combat, which I think is a very, very important note, which makes it much narrower in its utility. So
now, as someone that typically falls for these kinds of traps, it didn't even occur to me that anyone would. Like this, for me, this spell is alter self. It is an upgraded disguise self, and the other text is, yeah, okay, it's there.
I think I wouldn't have issues with it if it was the whole package at once. You need to pick between doing one of the three at any given time. I can't fathom why that's the case. I don't think the spell gets particularly busted whenever you attach disguise self to aquatic adaptation. And I think the natural weapons being exclusively flavorful, it seems like it's a way to sell the fantasy of being the disguised self creature, right? Turning into a lizard folk and having their bite is what natural weapons sort of produces for you. Like, you can't do the magic of the drow, but being able to look like them works for that. You can't look like a sea elf, or you can't get the magic of a sea elf, but being able to look and breathe underwater like a sea elf can sell the disguise, can sell the trickery a little bit better. But needing to go, I look like a sea elf, but I'm running out of breath, so I'm going to go back to look like a dwarf real quick, begin to take breath, and then go back to my sea elf form. The entire ruse is broken, right? And you will get some cute moments where you're like, I need to use the restroom real quick, excuse me, and then you'll slide into a room and be like, then slide back out and just start pantomime again, communication. But like, I don't know. I think the text here could have been so much more cohesive and could have led to the fantasy being satisfying. I so many times see this get cast a new player tries to like weaponize it and be cool with it and do some cool stabby thing and go, that was terrible. Why did I even try that? And I don't like the spells like that exist. And this spell can lead to those experiences because of how bad natural weapons is. But change appearance is pretty cool, and I think that is the big selling feature for it. So while I started this saying the spell is ass, I think people overrate it. I do think people overrate it. I think change appearance is still good enough of an option that I would put it on some of my characters, and you probably can too and get some mileage out of it.
All right, you got a rating?
I think this is a 3. I think change appearance, that's literally just for change appearance. Aquatic adaptation being tacked onto that is sure, whatever. But change appearance is disguise self with a little bit more upside. It'll run to all the problems disguise self already runs into, notably that invisibility pops off at level 2. So like a lot of the time, the whole ruse of feigning like you're looking like someone else just goes away when you could instead just be invisible for the same duration, right? Like it becomes a lot harder to justify these kinds of charades whenever invisibility is just on the table. Big problem with it. That being said, it is good at the charade thing. There's going to be moments where you can come up with some pretty fun, convincing plans where you're pretending to be a person interfacing with people, and the difference of if you need physical inspection there and you need to change your physical hair and your body in different ways, this does actually legitimately sell that. That's enough of an upside that I'm willing to spend a second level spells on it, especially in the upper tiers.
Yeah, I mean, invisibility will be a substitute for a lot of uses for this, but I was thinking more along the lines of when you do need to pretend to be somebody else and interact with people, then yeah, this ooh, it's a tough one to rate for me. It feels like a 3. I feel like you're right there, but just with disguise self already pulling enough of the weight at a lower level and the other text not even mattering at all, this I'm gonna give it a 2. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it's doing enough.
You might be right. I might be overrating this one because I'm fearful of the internet's wrath.
Yeah. But a high 2 leaning toward a 3. All right. That was Alter Self. Thank you, Sam. Let us everybody let us know what you think in the comments.
Your Alter Self stories would be great. Maybe
yeah.
Aquatic adaptation was awesome. Have you ever seen someone drown to this? I think that'd be really funny, and I would love to hear that story of a player character casting on themselves and then getting hit, running out of breath, and dying. I think that'd be funny. So let me know in the comments if that's happened to you.
All right. Well, thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description where you'll find my Caverns and Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.